Today, as we say, we're going to discuss on my personal observation on a back-to-back program. But first, a little intro. So back last year, early, I decided to change. And I've been an internal working at Orange for 9+ years. And I decided, no, I want to take a different challenge. And I make up my mind and I give my resignation letter that was mid-Feb last year. And 1 week later, the COVID came with all the stuff. So luckily, I have some weeks to catch up, but basically, I moved to consultancy during the COVID times. I moved to consultancy to build a new practice around strategy. So I moved into uncertainties in the worst scenario possible. But especially at that time, when I was really like down to say, where the hell am I going, is where I met strategy tool by my browsing and where I start thinking that, yes, this guy, they have a different approach. This guy, they have something. And this approach that they have to strategy or to scale up or to cluster is something that for me makes really sense in where I would like to take it forward. So today I would like to take some time to go through the Duke and the BI case that we run, but also to step back on it and see what is behind the transform simulation, see what is behind the strategy tool approach, and see how we can use all this asset to create better program, whatever, like we use it for education, that would be the major focus of today, or for corporate, or for accelerator, or for a national innovation cluster. So as Hege already introduced you, so back in April, Chris came with the possibility to run some transform simulation at Duke for the Master of Engineering Management, that's the Fuqua Business School, and on the BI Norwegian Business School that Hege said. And what was really funny, that happened in 5 days time. So in 5 days, we did the full Duke in one shot, and we did the 3 days of the BI Norwegian School. So we had more than 17 hours in the simulation out of that 5 days, plus all the extra. So just to give you a little bit of the different approach that we have there. So Duke happened on a weekend during the break. So the students were volunteering to take this on top of the existing class. We did a full-blown session of 7+ hours. Started in 2 in the afternoon, ending up around like 8, 9 in the evening, Central European time. And that was about 20 students. And we ran it with me, Christian, and Hege as a co-facilitator. For the BI Business School, as Hege said, we did 3 mornings, so 3-hour module every morning. And as we have around 50 student attendees, we decided to split the group in 2 boards. So me and Chris, we did one board, and the Hege and Olesver took the other board. So here there is also the possibility to scale up the transform simulation that is normally maximum to 30, 35 people, up to higher level with multi-co-facilitator time. And that really worked well, because what's happened during the simulation, after could be debrief and the program point of view together. As Chris say, the transform simulation now is used in 35, I think you say, business school. It uses bachelor, master, MBA, and executive program. So we start to see a lot of action around it, and we start to see what is really the value of having the simulation inside your program. Second, we discuss about the technical setup and also what are the really building block of this transform simulation. I think this image really gives you the clear idea how is my setup and what we ask our attendees and the professor to do. So on the left side here, you see everything that is the strategy tool asset, digital in this case, and the Miro, that will be considered kind of hard skills that you have to manage. And on the right side, what I do, I keep all the people side and facilitators. So there where we can share the screen, there we can help them going through the different modules, the different exercise there where you can deal a little bit with the non-verbal, even if you are like in a distance. Why this is important? It is important because we have to keep the balance between the two. And we see also that the transform simulation is really flexible in terms of how we can take it forward. And all the tools that we have, a strategy tool, are pretty flexible and you can use with different angles. So every run is different. And it's not different by design. Yes, we can have some mobility space or like software space or finance space that we can attach to the program. But it's mostly because we can really tailor-made based on the program overall view, based on the attendees experience, based on the timing that we have, and based on the how many co-facilitator we have available. What is important for me to say when I want to say like to take a step back, it is that Transform is an experiential learning space. So this is a really key point for everybody to understand that as we are trying to tap into this educational space, and this educational space has much more a traditional approach of lectures or cases in the traditional sense that we mentioned before about coming from HBR cases that are like 20 pages or plus and really deep side. This is different. This is something that is new for them. So maybe it will take a little bit of time in order to sell to a professor or to put it into place. But as soon that we are able to bring the professor, the program, the attendees, and the co-facilitator together in this safe space for learning, something really tick, and this is something different. And what they say that this is really good because every time that we run this, and we run now quite a lot of time, the outcome and the feedback that we have is really positive. And the people, they want more. So what we have to take in mind this, it is whatever like face-to-face or fully digital or blended the solution that we have, here we are delivering experiential learning. And this experiential learning, for me, it is a massive opportunity that we have today. And it's not only for education, but I just want to say that today we are like working on this level with the business school, but it's something that is missing as well into the corporate, in the accelerator, or in the innovation agency company. To go a little bit more into details, I was thinking about, okay, what is special about this? And what is special? I found 4 major stuff that they say why the transform simulation is special and why the approach is special. The first one is what I already mentioned before. Traditionally, we take a dots at a time. And a dots, it is maybe finance, maybe strategy, maybe leadership, maybe transformation, maybe foresight, everything that you can say. And they're taught in a disconnected way. They talk from their point of view, and you see only the different angles. What is really good about the simulation, that gives you the possibility to find the interconnectedness of them. So to see that what we think it is kind of a mechanical way of seeing the stuff, it becomes much more a relationship about what we have today. And what we say here, it is really like something that becomes alive during the simulation, especially in the later stage. The second point that I want to raise with you is this one. So as we're moving from the analysis of a small part towards the whole, we're moving from the analysis to synthesis. And this is actually what is happening during the simulation. So instead of focusing really hardcore on a specific area of transformation or finance or strategy, we take this as a whole. So if to take an example, when we push the attendees and the cohort to answer an activist investor letter, what we want to them is to figure out that this is not an answer that has to tick finance answer, strategy answer, leadership answer, as an answer that to tick all the 3 together. And that is really what is make sure that the learning stick to the people. Third point is the similar stuff. So what we think it is the linear way of learning. and what we do today, the only feedback is the rate that we get at the end. But by working the simulation, we start to having feedback loops and a lot of feedback loops. And this is the greatness of working in a simulation that is a safe environment and a simulation that has specific rules. So in the rules we adopt the simulation, we know that we have to hit 50 billion. So it's easy after 1 hour or 2 hours to do a point and to tell to the attendees, and say, okay, how far are you? Why your decisions are moving you ahead toward the goal, or why your decisions are maybe stopping you or maybe going backward. So this part of giving a feedback loop is really important, and is important from a learning point of view and from a co-facilitator point of view, because in that way we can also see what is going on with the cohort and decide to accelerate or not the pace, or to give a kind of a holding hand to them, or really throw them into the deep water. What is really interesting, it is that as soon as the people start getting this feedback loop, they start cracking the code, as Chris liked to say. And what means cracking the code is start to understanding the synthesis, understanding the connection between the different points. It is our fourth one. That is for me what is the most interesting of what we discuss when we run a simulation. It is that we move away from the silos. So we have a lot of silos in any industry, in any, whatever education, whatever it is corporate, whatever it is innovation agency, etc. And we keep on taking the same approach towards these silos. You go from the bottom and you go up. What I really love about the strategy tool approach, and what I think really drive me every week to work more with Chris and the community, it is that I think me first, I see this emergence. And when I see this emergence, it means that I'm getting this notion, these nuggets of knowledge coming from any direction, but I'm now able to see the whole, to see how they link together. And what is good for my knowledge and my understanding is even maybe less interesting than what is next. What it gives me is really the eagerness to want more. And I think this is the real emergence. So as we get through the strategy tool global coaches, as we get through maybe the first solution, the BTC or the SUCO program, we want more. And this is something that why I think the strategy tool community is thriving, and why we see every time getting more and more people in. So this, of course, for me these are concepts that are coming from system thinking, and it's coming from how we can work in complexity. I think what we do here and what we may be doing, maybe not officially or not directly, but basically we are developing learning opportunity that they are like improve learning opportunity by exposing people to complex simulation. And this is a difficult part, really difficult, but how we manage to do this is because we have the right asset, that are the tools and the canvas and everything. We have the right preparation, as Hege say, to make sure that we connect to the client and we define with them. We have the right experience, and also we have all the hard and soft skills to make this as a whole happening. So this for me is what is really is behind the simulation, behind what strategy tool can bring into a university program. And also it is where I use for the bridge for the next slide. That is, okay, everything is about co-designing, and how you can co-design an education program using strategy tool is really diverse. So I like this picture because we have so many options here in the strategy tool. So today we discuss about simulation. Simulation is just one of the type of asset that we have here, strategy tools. We have the single canvas. We have the solution that I mentioned before, the BTC or the SUCO or the global clusters. We have the simulation, and we have the cases with the different difficult level that we have. What is important to know here, it is also we can adapt to different formats. The first stuff that we can do is 90-minute demo to explain to someone how the simulation work high level. I did a session at the University of Pisa in 3 hours, where I took out some of the pieces of transform simulation and just to have them run in a case on the Volkswagen case that is being used as well in the sim. We have the full run in 1 day, what we did at Duke University. We have the multi-day as well, what we did at BI. But what also is interesting that all this can also be used outside of the simulation and outside of the transform. So in terms of me, I'm using this for advisorship that I do, both for scale up and both for transformation and for the C-level, executive level transformation. So what I think it is important for everybody, my message it is, we have a richness of asset, we have a richness of option, we have a richness of color at the bottom of this picture, and a richness of diversity and experience. And this community really enables us to build amazing experience, whatever we want to take. So I just want to say that here we have a massive opportunity in front of us, and I'm pretty optimistic where we can take it next for the next 6 months, next year, and forward. On this part, I think I complete my discussion. So feel free to shoot. Chris, I couldn't see the chat in the meantime that I was presenting. So.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Enrico. And second, I don't think anybody wants to shoot at you. And third, there's been no chat because I think everyone has been so focused, absorbed into your presentation. But Enrico, if you press stop share at your end, we can open for discussions, questions, and curveballs at Enrico. So Andrea, please go ahead.
Thank you. Very interesting presentation and very interesting platform to begin with. We have been looking ourselves into a solution for ideation, for trying to figure out how exactly can we harness the ideas of everyone that works with our company in terms of innovation and how to become better. And one of the biggest challenges is that there are a lot of platforms where information can arrive at, but most of those platforms, they don't have a system that is automated or an AI solution that can do clustering or can do some sort of the idea management. Do you know if there is something like it coming into the market anytime soon, or do you plan on looking into it for idea management that happens automatically, at least in the first phase?
So take a little bit. I have a client who has the same. So it's something that has been looking at. First step that I say, I really work with them on what is their needs, what is the data needs, what is the decision model that I want to put in place. And based on that, we design a kind of a paper model of what will look like the control that they need. Out there are different tools, more complex, less complex, and that is down to what is the eagerness or the size of the client or the budget and the urgency. I think there is a company that called Ground Control with Esther Gons, that she's coming out with a beta one that I would like to test with my client. That will be for my part on software. But else, I think that before going to tools, we have so many weeks and months of strategy tools, Canvas, Word that we can fit in. And I think is getting through this with the right setup will really give you the right implementation and adoption and benefit at the end.
All right, thank you for the reply.
Roberto, please, go ahead.
Yeah, Enrico, can you share, first of all, I find your slide with the disconnection until things is brilliant. I mean, that's seriously, you brought it home. Congrats on that. But my question is, what role did the professors play? I mean, did they just watch and learn? Did they were eager to, participate in terms of adding some specific comments? Can you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So there are different approach when you work with the professor. For example, for the BI, we mostly work ourselves in the sim, and they were organizing the debrief and outside. Of course, we have Chris with us, so that's considered having a professor in the sim. Let's say this, but okay, nearly there. What I found really nice for Duke, we had Professor Tony O'Driscoll, and he was amazing. So what we did, he placed this, as I say, on a Saturday to avoid to overlap with other courses. And he took it at the end of his program. And that was what he wanted to check it is by giving them the right content that they want to work, that was mobility. And also he was drilling down the students to understand why you're taking this decision and why you want to know this and how it's linked to what you learned during the course. And this was amazing because through the simulation, he was able to get a lot of feedback of what worked and what didn't during the program. And I think this is really amazing to have the professor. That for me, it's one of the most, so in the Hege picture that we saw before, is one of the 4 parts of the sim. If we have all of them on board, that's really where we can get the max value.
I'm just going to put Tony's link in the chat here for everyone because, like you said, Enrico, I think he was instrumental in shaping the outcome. Jona, please.
So 2 questions. One is in follow-up was just discussed. What's the continuity? Like, are they going to do it again? You know, if the professor got, you know, a sense of, could they, how long do you think it would be before, you know, they could take it and run it themselves? And did you see any appetite for that? And do you check for appetite for that? Or is this something that you're more interested in direct delivery as a form of replication?
So there are multiple angles in this. I know that Chris can say more than me how long it took to land Duke. That took like a long time. But what is really good that as soon as we get this experiential learning, as soon as we hit this milestone, well, Tony will say, hey, we have to run it in fall.
Mm-hmm.
I want the next cohort to go here. And also what we see it is, okay, we're thinking about, is that one day full-blown simulation the best way to get the student in, or when should we do the simulation inside the program? And so for the moment here as well, I did a PISA and the professor was really happy. Now for me, from a point of view, so the professors today are really stuck in an organization, especially in university, that is siloed. And you're a professor of strategy and you're a professor of finance, and this is what you can do. And this is kind of transversal and horizontal line a little bit, where he has the most value, that they bring all the different points together. So I think searching as well inside the university and the professor, how we can bring this, because there is so much eagerness to bring this from the professor. And sometimes there's so much frustration not to be able to pull this off because you have a 2.5-hour slot and not more than that. And you cannot go over because you take space from another professor. So from a point of view of the sim, the digital or the blended, we have a lot of flexibility, but we do definitely need to frame it in the right way to give the value that we need. But there is an awesome feedback, and I think, yeah, Chris can add as well. I think they love the different angle that we bring with the simulation.
I'll add 2 brief comments on that, Jona/Enrico, and just follow up what Enrico said. I think for continuing, the places where they actually saw the full thing, like they really did a full session, the continuing is going to be like 100%. Once they get it, they want more, and they see how it can work. Some cases, and I think Rick and I are going to share one of those examples a little bit later, the participants didn't get it. It was too difficult. They had not prepared in advance. They told us they did, they didn't. So when they showed up, it was just like way over their heads. In that case, they never got it. So, the continue is not going to happen. The second part of the question is, we do not want to be in the classroom. We would like Enrico to be in the classroom. We would like Nir to be in the classroom. We'd like Roberto and Amin to be in the classroom. I've talked to many faculty members, and most of them are too busy to learn this, but they would like to have someone who can run it. So over the next 3 years, I expect this to, multiply by at least a factor of 5, but it's not going to be me doing it. It's going to be someone else. And that's why I'm so happy to see people like Hagen, Enrico, and others that are actually, adapting it, internalizing it, and then applying it in different formats, 7-hour format, 3-day format, etc. We are going to see a lot more of that variety as more people start working on it. Enrico, I have one closing question, then we're going to transition a little bit. If you look back at your own sort of learning journey, which has been pretty steep, like Mount Everest steep, K2 wall steep, what would you say was the most important for your learning that others can benefit from?
I did a little bit of thinking, and I think I spent most of my career trying to convince people. Now I say, fuck, no, I'm not convincing anymore. I'm giving you the frame, I'm giving you the context, I'm giving you the case. You convince yourself by doing it. And it's awesome because it works. And it's much more light from a personal point of view. Sometimes I've been spending months and years to convince someone. And as soon as you let them do it yourself and drive them through, this becomes so obvious.
That's a good phrase. Enrico, as you know, we have big expectations of seeing you take this into Italiano and many other languages. But we're looking forward to following your journey on this. Thank you very much for sharing.